It is Bill Gross, the LAProbate expert. And this is our Thursday afternoon, 4 p.m. probateweekly.com, where we get together every week and talk about all things probate. We have investors, wholesalers, wannabe students, real estate agents, occasionally vendors, occasionally petitioners, administrators, attorneys. Talk about all things probate to help us build our business, to increase our income, and to increase in the long run our wealth. And so just real quick, I was saying to people before we started that the more you participate, and today's even more so than normal, the more you give, the more you get. The more you participate, the more you're going to learn in something. So one of the topics I see a lot of, and I get asked a lot about, is a vendor list. And I saw a lot of activity on the Probate Mastery website that Chad Corbett runs. A lot of interest. And again, a lot of people come to me and say, well, I'm building out my vendor list. And I always find that kind of, I don't want to say humorous, but misunderstanding what the real goal of it is. So who here has a vendor list, and what's the purpose of your vendor list? Anybody want to share? No? Anybody want to raise their hand or chat box, or if you're watching, you're streaming on live on YouTube or Facebook, we'll watch the questions there as well. Why is it important to have a vendor list as a real estate agent, or as a probate real estate agent, or as a probate investor? Why is it important? Michael Len, hand up. Go ahead. Unmute yourself, Michael, if you could. You're muted. You're muted.
There we go. Sorry about that.
No problem.
My understanding of the purpose of the vendor list is that it offers a service to them that is beyond just the marketing. It's a way to address the whole issue that they are trying to solve.
Okay. I think you're close to it. I think that's a good part of it. I don't think you really quite have it mastered for yourself yet, but okay. Who else has an answer? Why is it having a vendor list important, or how do you use your vendor list?
I'm not sure how to raise my hand here.
Go ahead. You just did.
I would say, Lisa, and I would say I use that when I call my clients. I ask them if I tell them I have a robust vendor list. And sometimes they don't know what that means. So I'll say, my painters, my contractors, my plumbers, are there any specific projects you're thinking about doing this year?
Great.
That's how I use my vendor list. And I would love to hear what other people do. Yeah.
I like that. Good. And the reason I started this call, by the way, is I wanted to share ideas and work together and flesh things out together with other practitioners as well. So I don't have all the answers. I'm not selling you the answers. I tried joining this call. So I'm also here to learn and take notes. Great answer, Lisa. I see Elizabeth Hernandez. I do. How do you have a vendor list, and how do you use it?
Yes, I have a vendor list that I use mostly for my clients to refer. Referral is a business-to-business communication, and we always refer each other. Not always, we more refer to our vendors than vendors to us. But that's one of the goals, to see if they have clients that they might in need of our services. So we want at the end happy clients, and that's what we do. And that's what the special vendor list that we create, it has to be created by people that we know we can trust and share them forward to other clients.
Yeah. So would you, and if you're not comfortable asking, I'll ask a question. If you're not comfortable answering me, let me know. Do you share that vendor list freely with anybody who asks for it? Do you share that with prospective customers? Do you only share the individual answer with a customer? How do you share your vendor list with your clients?
When I being asked for, I do share my client list, my vendors with them. And if I know they're in need of something, or once I walk into a property and they're gonna need a particular plumbing, a particular windows, or flooring, or whatever subject might be that needs in repair, I will always say, hey, just by the way, just for you to know, I have a list of vendors, preferred vendors that they've been working. I've been hearing amazing results from them. And if you need them, yes, I do.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Elizabeth, where do you sell real estate?
Sacramento, in Northern California.
Well, it's the state capital.
Yes.
we should all know where it is, but thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, good. So, okay, well, thank you. And then Fred says he needs a reliable vendor list. Well, we're going to work on that right now. Too many flaky vendors. I think we all have a share of flaky vendors, and it's a constant process. Nan says enjoy too. What does that mean, Nan? Enjoy the flaky vendors? I wasn't sure what that means. You want to elaborate on that or answer that or unmute yourself? Or anybody else here have a vendor list, and how do you use it with your clients? So that you're willing to share that with us.
Okay, this is Nan.
Hey, Nan.
Me too. I need a vendor list. It was
Okay. Okay, got it.
must have mistyped. That's easy for me. Thank
Got
you.
it. Yeah, sure. Thank you. So one of my, and I have a number of coaches in different areas. One of my coaches in referral marketing, Joel Epstein, bigjoel.com if you want to look him up. Longtime friend. He and I were in the mortgage business together. I started 36 years ago. We became top producers. And then we would go on a kind of a circuit of top producers speaking events. And I've gone into real estate. He stayed in mortgage and got into coaching. So he kind of gave me this line that I use when people ask me about issues with a property. I tell them I'm a real estate expert. Everything to do from the front sidewalk to the back fence, I want you to call me. Right? Whether it be physical, trees, pests, I know somebody who'll fix it, kill it, whatever, or I'll get a guy for you. But I want you to call me. And I think the thing, as real estate agents, we get very focused on delegating, but we don't want to delegate the most important task, which is we want to be the solution to our customers' problems, all of them. And the more problems a customer has, the more opportunity for value. I think that was kind of, I think who hit on that. I think Lisa kind of hit on that in the beginning. The more value we have with our customers. The measure of our value to our customer is the problems that we solve with them. Does that make sense? And so someone to think of the vendor list is really kind of like your colleagues, when you walk in to meet a seller, you walk in to meet an attorney, or you bump into one, you should think of, I always tell real estate agents I coach, the forms. If I'm a ninja real estate agent, my job is to either protect the life of my client or to kill the bad guy trying to hurt my client. And the forms are my knives and swords. And the vendors are my fellow ninjas. Now, not all my vendors are ninjas. Because some vendors get so busy, they can't help. And I work a broad area in LA County. Some will work in the South Bay, won't go to the Valley. So I constantly am looking for new vendors. I'm constantly looking for new people. But isn't it also true in all relationships, other than maybe your spouse or your children? Are we always looking to upgrade relationships? Add more people, add better this. If there's better, we want to add to it. So Rachel says she's with John Hart and she has a vendor list that's called Trusted Page. So here's what I want to say to you. I would never give that to my client because that's really, I want them to have me. I want them to call me. Your tree in the backyard falls. Do I have a tree guy? Absolutely. Me. I'll get you the tree guy. Either I have one that I can recommend 100%, or I'll get you a couple. I'll call them up because calling those tree guys become my opportunities for more business. I call a vendor up and I say, hey, I'm Bill Gross, I'm a real estate broker in the area. I'm a trusted client, source for my clients. And I have a client in the blah, blah, blah area that has a tree fell down. They need help. Tell me how you work. You do with this. I vet them for my clients. I call back to my client with a solution. I have a probate case right now where we need a combination of animal control problem, firearm problem, eviction problem, security, storage, junk out, estate sale. We need storage, insurance, a whole list of things. And all those become opportunities because as the attorney sees all things I'm doing, what does the attorney who referred me to that case and has another one? What's he think about me? The more problems I point out to him that I've solved for him. What is he thinking about me? Anybody?
You're number one.
Go ahead.
No, it's just that you would be number one. That they would think to go to. You're their go-to person.
Aren't we all busy and overworked? So you have somebody that you can just call and they'll solve the problem. Isn't that what we're all really looking for? Right? So here's what I do today. This is an exercise that I did when I started building out my probate business. I know that I needed a vendor list. I had to start accumulating, but more than just a vendor list, I needed a process to think about how am I going to build my business. And so what I want you to think about first, and I have a vendor list, I'll share with you mine for those of you who participate. But think of them as what kind of problem does your customer have? And then you need a solution. What's that solution look like? So what kind of problems? Think about, wow, Peter Mark says he has a vendor list, 30 sheets in a spreadsheet format. Your job solve the purest problem and having someone I can call up and get them in touch who can solve it. Wow, Peter, that's pretty hardcore. Love to learn more about that with you. I see you're watching on YouTube. Maybe you and I can talk some point about what you do and share some ideas. That's pretty hardcore. Okay, so here's what I want you to do, because I'm going to suggest to you that you don't need a vendor list. You need a vendor process. And constantly thinking about the problem, what's the solution? If you have a guy in the solution or gal, great. If not, you got to find somebody that's your problem. So name off to me a couple problems that probate estates, either an attorney or petitioner or an executor administrator might have regarding their probate case. What are problems they might have? Anybody?
Trash out.
Trash out, very good.
Remodel.
Remodel, they might want to fix the house up to sell it, get top dollar. Good, what else? So let's stop here for a second.
Landscaper.
Landscaper, okay, good. So let's stop, let's go back for a second. Now, trash out, what would the solution be?
A hauler.
Hauler, good. So the one I use is 1-800-GOT-JUNK, right? Sometimes contractors have a guy or a company they use that will show up and haul the stuff away. That's my experience. So I usually quote 1-800-GOT-JUNK. I usually call a contractor in the area, find out who their team is, get 2 quotes, present to the customer, and let them pick the ones that's going to work for them in many cases. So remodel, landscape. What else? What are the problems they have? Insurance. So there's particular problems they have is number one, if they live in the house, that's the type of insurance. But if they're not living in the house, that's a different insurance. So you need somebody who can insure and who can bind policy. That's another part is my insurance guy, I can call him on the phone, give him my credit card, and the customer is binded for policy at that moment once they hit my credit card so that they're covered in case of a virus or emergency of some sort. Good, what else?
Plumbing.
I'm sorry?
Plumbing.
Oh, plumbing. Okay, definitely. So obviously, there's going to be a number of areas in the area of fixing up the house, contractors and plumbers, insurance people. That's a whole genre of problems. Good. What else?
Locksmith.
Big one, locksmith. So there's REO locks. I mean, there's foreclosure locksmiths who, I have a great guy here in LA who he knows the whole drill. He's there when the sheriff shows up. You know, he's courageous. He comes up with his wife. So it's a 2-person team. He has everything in his truck. He knows the drill. So definitely you want a locksmith who can help you with keys on the spot. Then I have another locksmith who will make copies for me because as an agent, I'm always needing copies. So there you have a locksmith and a mobile locksmith or a lockout locksmith would be a separate one. Good. What else? Electrician. Right. So here's the process. Each of you should go through and make your own list. Now I'm going to show you mine in just a second. Well, here it is. And over time, I've added more people into it and then and then attorneys, people call me all the time for attorneys. These are different types of attorneys that I've come up with and I need from time to time. And so this is a list of categories I have in my CRM that I can tag people. Now, I have people who I get data. I don't know who they are. from organizations and import them in, and I'll contact them or I meet them at a trade show. And then if I meet them personally and approve them, I'll give them another tag as a COI, or for me, center of influence. But what you need to do is make your own list of all the things that you need and then add to it as you get more people. But the key here is you want the customer to call you with a problem, not the vendor. And I'll give you a perfect example of how that worked for me in my business. So like most real estate agents, when I started my probate business, I called everybody that I knew. And one of my friends happened to be an attorney. And he said to me, you know, I have this customer. She's a widow. And a couple of other suggestions. I'll get back to the comments just a second. She's a widow. Can you help her? Okay, I'll give her a call. And so I call her on the phone and she says, well, we have a property, our next door neighbor, there's a fence down the middle. The fence was falling over. The city cited us. The neighbor's supposed to split the cost. He wouldn't. But then she said, well, can you come over and take a look at it? Now, who here thinks it's their job to solve title problems for a customer? Anybody? But what is my job? Is to solve my customer's problem. So my attorney referred me the client, and I talked to the woman. I drove over there. Now I'm in West LA. She was in East LA, Washington Heights. So, you know, without traffic, it's half hour. With traffic, it's an hour drive. Got there, walked around. So we walked around for about 45 minutes. She showed me the property, walked the front, side, back. I think it was a 6-unit property. At the end of the walk, about 45 minutes, she says to me, you know, could you just sell this for me? Right? That was a listing presentation. I said, yes. And we listed the property. And the story about that one is this exciting is when she sold it, when I sold it for her, and brought her the proceeds check, the actual check, met with her on a Friday afternoon, drove back out there again. She said, this is so exciting. I have this money. Now I can afford to move. I've always wanted to live in Arizona with my sister. Can you help me sell this house when she was living in? What do you think I said? Anybody want to, what's the script when somebody says, can you sell the house for me? Yeah. And the reason why is, even though I didn't necessarily know how to solve the title problem, I know a guy who can, but I have to go there and get the information and be the interaction with my customer to be the source. So what I want to say to all of you who want to build your probate business, particularly those who are already in the business, start with the people you already know. The word I use here is leverage. Too many people spend time buying a database. There's nothing wrong with prospecting 3 hours a day if that's what you enjoy doing. And some people do. And I have agents I coach that do. But to me, that seems like a very inefficient way to work, as opposed to go through the people you already know, categorize them based on their business type, find out what they do, and then look for ways to solve specific problems. One of the 11 ways I teach on how to sell probate real estate is to go through your database, identify those who own houses that either A, own it in a trust in California or done estate planning, or don't have it in a trust, or you don't know. And all those that you know you have in a trust, you call them and say to them, I'm curious who did it for you, are you happy with them? Because you're adding them to your vendor list as what? An estate planning attorney. If they're happy with them, now you have somebody you can refer to. Call the others, you might get several. Some they'll say, well, I'm not happy with mine. And it's been 5 years, we have to find another one. Well, if you called and found a good one, you now can refer the client with the bad one to the good one, right? Those that don't have an estate plan, don't hold the property in trust, you can ask the question, I'm just curious, I noticed when I sold you the house, you didn't take title in trust. Have you considered an estate plan? And find out why they don't have one. Oftentimes they think it's more expensive than it is. It also might be they don't know somebody they trust. And if you have a client who trusted one and brags about him, and you meet that attorney, think about it. If I called up, I don't know who's on the call here without being muted, Lisa Wex, if I called you up and said, Lisa, do you hold your property in trust? You said, yes. And I said to you, well, do you mind sharing who did it for you? I talk to homeowners like you all day long that need services of a estate planner. Do you mind sharing? And what are you going to say if you like that attorney?
I would give that to you in a heartbeat.
Yeah, she's Betty Boop. She's the greatest attorney in the world. She did this, she did that. We love her. I love Betty. We got our nails done together. We this, we that. You're gonna love it. Yeah, let me give her a name and number. I'll call Betty right now for you. And you call Betty the attorney and say, hey, I was just talking to Lisa Wexler, and she mentioned you did her estate plan. I'm a real estate broker. I talk to people buying houses all the time that need estate plans. And here's the key phrase in that one. And I've taught this class before. You still write estate plans, because most attorneys, once they do a bunch of them, don't write them anymore. They administer them or litigate them. But my point is, you're now digging into your client's list and getting their references and their referrals to refer to. The other thing you might do is, when you're looking for a particular vendor, let's say you go through your list and say, I don't have a good insurance agent. Who might you ask about insurance agents?
Your clients.
Yeah. Hey, Lisa, Bill Gross calling. Been a while. How are you? How are the kids? Great. Hey, I was just curious. I'm looking for a good insurance agent to refer to my clients. Are you happy with your insurance company? And if they say no, okay, I'll add you to the list. When I find a good one, I'll circle back. If they say yes, now you have an insurance agent you can call and say, hey, by the way, I'm a real estate broker. I need to, from time to time, refer good insurance agents. Are you still writing new policies here in California? What are they going to say?
Yeah, sure.
Fred Sells. Fred, your hand's up. How can I help you?
I just want to interject a suggestion. If you are recommending a insurance agent or a lawyer, yes, it can be pretty much anywhere in the county or the state. But if your client is in Pasadena and your plumber is in Orange County, that will not work. So keep in mind to have as local as possible to your client a referral.
Yeah, or maybe another way of saying the same thing, have multiple vendors, multiple plumbers. Certain businesses are by their nature local, and a painter who's probably not going to go, from the South Bay to the Valley, too far to go regularly. One-time businesses might. So good point. You need multiple of these people for various reasons. Multiple attorneys, multiple estate planning attorneys, multiple probate litigation attorneys. Good point. Nan asks, does it open up liability to us if they have a poor experience? Well, Nan, I'd say in life, there's risks. Certainly, if you're getting paid by the vendor, not sharing that's illegal. Certainly, if you're in cahoots with them somehow, you have liability. I've been in business 36 years. I've referred people who've done well and done poorly. As long as I'm honest, I've never had a problem. I never had anybody sue me for it. I think brokers tell us that because they're scared of being sued because they don't have anything else better to do. So I don't think it opens me liability to refer an electrician or painter, as long as I disclose I'm not related to them in any way. And if I am related to them, I need to disclose that. That's my,
Yeah.
let me ask you this. We have 60 people call. Anybody here ever been sued because you referred a vendor of some sort and it came back on you? Or heard of it? Well, I haven't. Rachel says she's a vendor list. That's great. Lemuel Jackson says short-term loan. Yeah, that's another vendor, would be short-term loan or advance inheritance. I can lend money to estates, to petitioners if they need money for legal fees, they need money to fix a house up, avoid foreclosure. That's a special kind of business. That's one we put on the list. But advance inheritances or loans to, if an administrator wants to fix the house up, do construction. I don't think that makes sense. I know there's a probate real estate agent who does that as his main business, and he's done quite well, but I don't know that's going to work in the long run if the rates, if property values don't continue to skyrocket. Rich asked about tenants. Yeah, having a property manager would be somebody who gets tenants into properties. That would be a key vendor. I've had on this call different property managers over time, but definitely property managers should be on your list. Companies that rehab a place and get paid through escrow. So Nan, I think that Nan asked, what do I think about companies that rehab a property during escrow and getting paid at the end? And I would say all of that works in a rising market. And when the market goes up 15, 20% a year, everything works. But when the market slows down or goes down, none of that works. And so I can know there's a company that we're involved with, Curbio, that does that. And there's a number of them that they'll sign with the client and they'll have the contractors. My experience is they charge a higher fee because they're getting a referral fee from the vendor, and they advance the money, but it's factored into their profit margin that there's loans involved. sometimes there's Wall Street companies that will lose money for years before they make money, and there's a chance to take advantage of those. And it's worked out. I had a client who was offered to buy his house through Open Door, and they offered him, it was a $900,000 property. They offered him $80,000 more than it was worth. And I said, take it. They're going to give you a cash offer and close guaranteed. Let them buy it. And it's still listed. Now they've cut the price down to below what I recommended. It's still in the market, because once something's been on the market that long, buyers get kind of scared. Would I share my vendor list? So here's what we'll get to that at the end. Hang on to the end, and I'll give you a way you can get a copy of that. No sound. I think that was you. I think my broker said we have to refer 3. Yeah, brokers always say refer 3 people. I don't know why. Brokers will never tell you to refer 3 brokers to a realtor to join. I've noticed that. They'll tell you to refer 3 people to 3 lenders or 3 escrows, unless they own the escrow. Then they'll say, no, only use ours. If they own the title, they'll say only use ours. If they have a lender in their office, they'll say, no, only use ours. But otherwise, they'll tell you to refer to 3. I don't know. I don't know where that magic number came up. Go ahead.
Sorry, I raised my hand twice, but
Oh, I'm sorry, Elizabeth, go ahead.
believe you didn't saw it. I just wanted to say in regards of that, the only people that I refer from my vendors list, the only people that I refer 2 or 3, the maximum, mostly 2 at the time, is because of that liability. For them, if something goes wrong, they always can point it out to us and say, you referred that to me. So in my case, I always refer vendors in regards of contractors, pests, home inspectors, yada, yada. No, the only people who's going to make repairs on the property, most likely, I always refer more than 1 or 2, 2 the most, because that way they choose, not me. I say, was you who choose.
I hear that, and I hear what you're saying. I mean, look, I don't run my business to not get sued. I run my business to create maximum value for my customers. Now, to your point, if I don't really know a vendor and I've just called and vetted on the phone, I might give them 3 and say, look, I talked to these 3. This is why this one looks better. This is why this one doesn't. But if you ask me today for a certain type of attorney, I'm going to give you the best. If you ask me for a certain type of lender, I'm going to give you the best. That's what you're paying me for, is the best. And not to give you 3 so that because my broker tells me not to get sued. I've never been sued. And it's not because I'm reckless and haven't been caught yet. It's because my focus is on helping the customer. My focus is not on just not getting sued. But different ways to run business. I'm not saying I'm right and you're wrong. I'm just telling you how I do it. So I think I answered your question on how requiring more than one vendor. I would say, here's one. Okay, so I don't know if I should say the name or not. I once got sued for a fraud. My brother, who was a general contractor, and was fully disclosed. Jerk client. Yeah. There's jerk clients, and I think that's, there's no solution to bad clients other than getting rid of them. It just never works out. The thing I've experienced in my life is I almost always knew they're bad client at the beginning and overlooked it until it was too late. But okay, so he's been sued, but I don't know. Have you referred to other general contractors? Would he have not sued you? I don't know. I mean, we can't really know that. Go ahead.
There was not even Bill. I was basically about to say that concerning referring vendors, whether or not it's real estate or in general, I use a disclaimer because I usually get calls to help with various problems. And I remember sending someone who was in foreclosure to a person who I knew how to basically help to save their house rather than going to foreclosure. And somehow they didn't like the way the person was handling it. However, the person basically had very good results. And so my feeling, when he called me, I says, well, I know that I can show you all the people that they've done well, but I can't guarantee anybody's work. And so you have to try them out and see. But, it's just the very fact that you have to do a disclaimer because you can't guarantee, even though you know that they're doing, good work.
I think that, I mean, it's a challenge. And I think part of it's also focusing on the quality of your clients and the quality of your relationship with your clients. I know I can think back, I did a short sale for a lady and I moved mountains for her and she was just nonstop, miserable, bitchy, uncooperative, dishonest, well, that's probably why she lost her property. That's probably why she had other issues that related to her being in a position to lose her property. So, yeah, I think, these are challenging issues. But, at the end of the day, if we refer a great vendor, we've certainly done the best we can do. I don't think there's anything to avoid clients being unhappy with you, just how you handle it when it comes to you. Yeah, and Michelle says Curbio charge 10% top of the cost of renovation. Yeah, now look, Michelle, if Curbio is getting stuff at volume and getting stuff 10% cheaper than I can, then perhaps it's worth it for the price. That's what they're going to tell you. For my money, generally speaking, the people my clients who are inheriting property, they're not professional real estate investors doing fix and flips. And to start doing that just because somebody died in your family is generally not the best investment decision with the money and the time and the effort and the energy. Most of my clients who ask have never bought a house and flipped it before. Why would you start with this house with all the legal ramifications of probate on top of it? So to me, that just doesn't make any sense. But I think it's a cute marketing gimmick. I think it sounds good because in the last 2 years, everything jumped up in price. And so you would say, well, I do Joneses and they got a house at $500,000 and we put in $100,000. So we're in it for 6. We sold for 8. Aren't we geniuses? Well, not really. You improved the property for $100,000 and the house went up $200,000. And so you made profit because it's like, sailing downstream. It's not magic. You're going downstream or upstream in the market we've had. So I don't know that improving the property is really the right choice for very many probate clients. I'm sure there's some who ask about it. And I just ask them, do you understand the process? Is that something you want to do as a business? And there are people say, yeah, why not? I inherited this house. I always skin the game. Why not give it a try? Okay, that to me makes sense. You want to learn how to do it? Here's your chance. Fine, play around with found money, perhaps. Kirby doesn't do business in Lancaster. Oof. Okay. Well, what? I'm not going to say anything about Lancaster. Part of LA County. Part of her brother's in LA County. Okay. So let's go back to how to leverage your vendors. So what I want to say to you is, well, here, let me ask you put it another way. When you refer 3 vendors, how likely is it to get to one that's going to give you business in the long run? How much business are they going to give you? How much special service are they going to give you? I know right now that I let one of my team members pick, and I really regret it because he thinks he has the leverage because I signed the contract, and it's true. We signed a contract that in some fine print, there's a couple little gotcha points, and he's, in my opinion, sticking me for, I think, $200 or $300 on a $20,000 estate sale. I'll never use him again. Unless something changes, I'll never use him again. If it gets worse, I'll put him on this program. I'll put him at the company and share what I've gone through. But what a missed opportunity, because I refer that business all the time. And for $200, I would never call a customer and say, here's an invoice for an extra $200 because this stuff got lost and we could have sold it and made money on it. Therefore, instead of $20,000, we're going to get, $20,200. I would never do that. That's just part of the business. I think at some point, you want people to enjoy doing business with you. You want people to feel good about working with you. And so to me, the vendors are the opportunity to solve the problem. And so I would never call my customer and tell them, oh, we lost $200 or $300 because of this. I'll just work hard and try to find some other way to make it up to them. But I would never tell them that. It's just never, and why you would call your customer and tell them that and send a piece of paper confirming that, to me, it just makes no sense at all. So how do I leverage vendors? So part of it is I want my vendors to say to the customer, man, you're lucky to work with Bill. He is a pro. He knows the stuff like nobody else. He's on his game. When Bill calls me, I jump. That's what you want. You want people to help continue to give your customer, and in probate, that means you want them to tell the client, you want them to tell the attorney that too. So we need to have solutions that are so good when we can. Those are opportunities. It amazes me how many real estate agents never call an attorney on a probate sale, and they'll pay for service and get data and cold call attorneys. I say, well, if you have an escrow with a probate right now, find some excuse to call the attorney. I have a guy on my team who I'm coaching, and he tells me out of the blue, he has a listing that's being sold, but it's no big deal. It's full authority, so there's no court confirmation. No, you don't know that. And by the way, there is a form he has to fill out. But what a great excuse just to call the attorney and say any questions. Can I help in any way? You're not calling him asking for referrals. You're calling to introduce him and give him service. So vendors are the opportunity to show our customers how good we are, the relationships we build to create more value for our customers. And we want to control the flow. We want the customer to call us with the problem so we can solve it. That's the chance. That's, so many real estate agents I coach will not call their past clients. It's the number one, and all of you on the phone, please take your finger and point to yourself and say, he's talking to me. That we won't call our past clients every 90 days. It's the number one mistake we make. It's the number one thing you can do to improve your business. But when they have a problem, when you get a text, oh, a tree fell in my backyard, a tree removal guy, what a great opportunity to call them up and say, oh, tell me about that. I'll come over and take a look at it. That's instead of prospecting 30 expired listings on the phone, why not talk to somebody who already knows you, likes you, and trusts you and solve the problem? And then meet the tree guy. And the tree guy owns a house, and his customers own houses, right? So I want you to think about the attitude change of, it's not about leveraging. I use that title because I think it will get people's attention. It's not just leveraging the relationship with the vendors. It's about establishing your position in the process, your position in the marketplace to be of value to the customer. And utilizing, and again, to go back to what Lisa said in the beginning, and maybe take it a step up. Maybe it wasn't Lisa. I'm probably forget who it was. It's about creating our value to our customers. The more vendors we have, the better vendors we have, the better service they offer our customer, the more valuable we are. They're our platoon. They're our colleagues. They're our army that we bring to the marketplace to help our customers get better service.
Bill, it's Lisa. I have a question.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure I'm not the only one on this call that has concerns about calling attorneys. So I have 2 transactions right now that are about to go live, and I've emailed, I called initially, when we signed the contract to the attorney, introducing myself. Other than saying something to the effect of, hey, Attorney Smith, it's Lisa Wexler. How can I help with the file? I want to call and just say, hey, we're really close to putting it on the market, and this is what we've done to improve it, blah, blah, blah. I just wanted to keep you updated. What are there certain things that you would recommend that would be of value to the attorney where he would go, hey, she knows what she's talking about. Hey, I'll refer her in the future. Something where I get their attention versus how can I help? I mean, I don't want to turn it on them. I want to provide, like you were saying earlier, value.
Right. I could do a whole couple hours on attorney relationships. The nature of attorneys is they all sound like they know what they're talking about when they know nothing at all what they're talking about. They're smart people, educated people. In their area, in their domain, they know a lot. But it's hard to get them to admit they don't know something. And so you have to approach them from that way. To be honest with you, I would I guess to answer your question specifically, I have a YouTube channel that I interview attorneys on, and I promote to my social media, and some like that, some don't, some do. And the other thing I do is I really work on the paralegal, because the paralegal is the one who's going to do the form. The paralegal is going to write the notice of proposed action. I'll follow up on, make sure it's done. Ask if they need a copy of the deed because I have access to the public record data. That's probably the one thing, one of the currencies I find. It's surprising because you and I know we can call a title company. They'll be glad to give it to them for free. Some don't know that. Smart title reps won't tell the attorney that. They'll say, call me for the deed. And I do the same thing with the attorney. Well, call me, I'll get it for you right away. And I've had paralegals say, well, Bill, is there an app or something I can get these on my own? No, I tell them, there's nothing more important in my life than you asking me for a copy of a deed on a property. Because that property has to be sold. That's my business. And I want to help you get the best outcome for your client. So I would say, to answer your question, a couple things. One, whatever your marketing is with attorneys, look at that. What do they do for business development? Do they do online seminars? Do they do live seminars? A lot of attorneys do estate planning seminars. Also, I find that if you're not asking them for referrals, I would never ask an attorney for a referral directly. Take them to lunch in the right COVID environment, whatever that means to you and them. I'm in West LA. I'm probably one of the most politically locked down. If I was inviting an attorney to lunch, many of them would think I'm irresponsible for going to a restaurant. So I can't do that today. And I also have some restrictions. I eat kosher, so I'm in an area where I can only be around that area. If your area, people going to lunch, and if you believe most people would think that's a reasonable thing to do today, I would always, or when the time comes right, I would invite attorneys to lunch. Hey, I'm not looking for, I don't want to beat you over the head for sales. I really just like to meet you. I like the way you work. My clients speak really highly of you. Can we get a bite to eat? And I can learn more about what you do for business. And I would do that. Number one, lunch. 2, work the paralegal. 3, if you're so inclined, add them in your social media marketing, whatever that means to you. Posting about them, how helpful they are. If they have an event, post it in your social media. I interview people in video. That's kind of what I do, and I'm helping my team learn how to do that and grow in that area as well. Does that help a bit, Lisa?
Yeah, I was actually, yes, thank you. But I was really talking more about when you call them on the phone and you're indirectly asking for business, but you're saying, hey, we've got this mutual client. You know what I mean? And what are some of the things that would be good to just talk about on the phone? And certainly, the COVID environment right now is really here in San Diego it's hit and miss. I mean, some people could care less, and others. Right. Care a lot. I almost lost a client yesterday because I wore the mask. I didn't shake his hand, but he says, you didn't tell me that you were exposed. And I said, no, I did. And I took a COVID test before I came out here. And so he anyway, so there's extremes of right now here in San Diego County. So I was really just asking, if you have a mutual client and you haven't made contact with that attorney and you're just about to put it on the market, what would be a good conversation, a good, to have? That's really what I was referring to.
Is it full authority or limited authority?
They're both full. Yeah.
So I would ask them what their process is for filing the notice of proposed action.
Okay.
At what stage do they want to do that? Do they want to wait till you've cleared contingencies? Because you need to put that in your contract, whatever that process is. You're not going to get it until after you file it, and it sits there for whatever period of time, 15 days. So you have to strategically figure out, do you want to do it up front? Do you want to do it, wait till the very end and after loan approval, but before closing, and work out that time? But that's the one thing I try to make sure I work with the attorney is that we're on the same page on that, the filing of notice of proposed action, and that you got to get that right away to the title company to get them to clear the titles. There's no closing without it.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing I would work on. Nan asks, what do you do when a client asks you for a referral you don't have? Refer them next door in the area, but I would never send somebody next door. No, I'd find somebody. I mean, if I have a client who wants me to sell their house and I'm willing to service that area, then I have to be willing to do my job, which is find the vendors that they need in that area. I'm not sure what type of vendor you're referring to, but if somebody called me up and said, hey, we're thinking of selling our house, we want to trim the trees. Do you have a tree trimmer? We're thinking of listing our house. I'm going to find somebody to trim the trees in that area for them, right? And that becomes my job. No? You guys follow me on this? If you can't find vendors, then you really can't sell their house. And by showing them that you can find vendors, that's how you show them you're auditioning for the job of selling their house, by finding the vendor that they need. Whose hand's up? I can't tell. I see one is up. Whoever that is, go ahead and unmute yourself. And the hand's down. There, I thought I got it pretty quickly that time. Okay, so we'll see. Have any luck with fiduciaries? That's an interesting point. Yes, not as much as I should have. Marketing fiduciaries, those are like the big game. It's like hunting lions in Africa. I guess you have to have a certain kind of license and a certain kind of gun and a certain kind of guy to get in the right spot. And I haven't had the chance to really take down as much of the business as I would like. I know that the number one real estate agent in LA County in probate has a long, deep relationship with a huge fiduciary with a huge book of business. and it's been very, very profitable. Wish I had that. I chase after that all the time, but don't have that today. If it's an issue, are you vaccinated? I think I'm going to say my medical history is my business, and I'm just not comfortable sharing that with people. So, but I would say I'm safe, and I don't put other people at risk. I'm like everything else in my life. I act appropriately. Christopher, what vendor do you utilize when the heir doesn't want to complete responsibility associated with an administrator? Do you have a non-attorney service that will perform administrative functions, paperwork reporting? Yes, that's a great question, Christopher. One of the key vendors on my list is a service called easy-probate.com. Easy-probate.com. They're a probate paralegal service in essence. They have an attorney that will do the forms on a standard they have a basic service, a concierge level, and they have a attorney service. I've had the founder of that on this show as a guest a couple times, Byron Batras. But the letters E, the letter Z, -probate.com is one of my key vendors that I refer business to all the time. I'm surprised I didn't get any cookies or flowers from them for Christmas, but they're fantastic. They do a great job, save customers a lot of money, and I use them sometimes when clients get stuck in the mud. I'll bring them in to fix the problem. They want a mason for a fence. So Nan, I would say if there's a client who's building a fence, they're not selling the house, they're kind of selling in the house. But your goal when you sell somebody a house is that they're going to sell with you at some point, correct? Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I sold them their house and they are remodeling it, and they're out about an hour from where I live. It was a referral, so I don't have anybody in that area to refer.
Well,
So I thought-
hold on a second. And when they list the house, are you going to hope they list with you and you sell it?
Yeah, well, eventually, if I'm still alive, then they just
Well-
moved to the new home.
Okay, but the average person sells their house in every 7 years.
Right.
You in
I'm-
business 7 years from now?
I hope so.
Well, I'll tell you this. If you find that client a mason for their fence, you increase your odds. You have a chance to develop a relationship with the mason as well as to improve the relationship with your client. And I always feel like if you're going to sell, if you want to list the property, you need to service it. And part of that process would be finding the vendor that will help them with the house.
Okay, thank you.
Eric, I see your hand up. Eric Basket.
Yeah. How you doing today?
Great. How are you?
Fantastic. So I have entered into this probate arena going on a year now, and I'm in Los Angeles, and I see, there's some players here, and I'm in South Los Angeles, so Rancho Palos Verdes area. And I gotta say, I scratched my head on how most people tend to get listings. I thought it would be easier making some of these calls, and it really hasn't played out that way.
Right.
So I was just kind of curious I know that you talk about talking to attorneys and doing some of this other stuff. But have you seen anybody actually going to the personal representatives and like maybe door knocking and doing that type of stuff?
Calling, yes. Mailing, yes. Social media, yes. I don't know anybody who door knocks to the personal rep. Most commonly, they're not in the property. The decedent was. So I don't know. I haven't heard anybody doing it. If I was in a small town, I guess I would know where they were, but I've not heard of that happening. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody does.
Yeah, I've had zero response as far as direct mail. Phone calls have been okay, but still nothing.
In what area, Eric, do you sell houses in?
So I'm in Rancho Palos Verdes, so Torrance, Redondo Beach, everything south of LAX.
You're in the most competitive real estate market in the universe.
Yeah, it's pretty competitive.
And so when vendors, I'm curious, did you do some training and who do you buy your data from, or who kind of
all the
promoted
leads.
you? I'm sorry?
All the leads.
And they're great, but I want to say, having listened to them a lot, they're great. And I use them for my website. I use them for coaching when they had that with Chad a while ago. I've not done the new coaching with them. It's funny, I haven't been able to develop a relationship with the other partners. I've reached out to them a few times. I don't have anything against them, but I will say is the promotes the product on the call. makes it sound so much easier than it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that maybe, you know, I fantasize, well, maybe if I lived in some small county, you know, I'd like to move to Florida. Personally, I used to live in Boca Raton, which is Palm Beach County, pretty big county. But I can imagine if you lived in a more semi-rural county, you know, yeah, you mail out to people. Oh, Bill, he's a real estate agent. Yeah, we need probate. But man, where you are, Eric, you know, everybody got 35, 40 letters.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do I think it's good to postcard? Sure, I think it's part of the puzzle. But since the average person doesn't sell the house for a year or 6 months, I don't get the exact date, that you can't just mail one postcard and expect a reasonable response. I do think you have to do phone calling too. I do think you have to have other strategies in place to reach out to them other than postcard. I just don't see that as being a viable methodology.
Yeah, I've had
In our
zero
area.
as far as the phone call, or I mean, as far as the mail out. And I've done, you know, like I said, I've been doing this for about a year now. And I think I have one little old lady call me and ask me if I help them get rid of furniture, which I was taken back by.
But what was your answer?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Get in your car and go look at it. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I was just testing you there. If you're paying attention here. Yeah, look, we're in a very competitive market. Everything that they talk about, simple, not easy. And I do think that marketing today is multi-channel. When I talk to people who did this 10 years ago, okay, it might have worked 10 years ago in some semi-rural county. But if you're in Torrance, Palos Verdes, Redondo Beach, California, you're in a muscular, competitive, hyper competitive market with people making millions of dollars. Just mailing out postcards ain't going to cut you. Better have a sophisticated method, the postcard and mail, and you're watching on the IP address. You're pulling up their mailing, and they get a postcard. You got to be more sophisticated, I think, in multi-channel marketing to make that work. If you're attacking any of the channels, look, if I really broke down all the details I go through to get my business, you go, my God, Bill, you work so hard for all that. Well, yeah, I have a big business, but I work really hard to build a big business. I was on the phone this morning at 8 o'clock with an attorney. We did a video for about 45 minutes.
Nice.
A lot of realtors aren't on bed at 8 o'clock. People I coach are telling me at 9:30 they just got to the gym. I did the gym in the morning. So that's the business. It's competitive, but it's life-changing money if you put the time in. So
Yeah.
thanks for being on the call.
Ivan.
Michelle Colbert, you've had your hand up for a while, patiently. How can I help you?
Yeah, so my question is about in terms of providing vendors for people that aren't necessarily your client. I early in my career, I would have people ask me, for vendors, which I had no problem, getting the information with the assumption that yes, I would get the listing. But sometimes I found that there would be certain people that were going to take advantage of as many people as possible. They knew that they had, these various real estate agents clamoring for their business. And for them, they saw it as an opportunity to exploit. And so I was quickly, I had to rethink how I would do that in terms of vendors. Because I would come, it would be very thorough. Sometimes you do a whole package of, who could do the lawn or roof, whatever the case may be. And just what is your take on that? Because now I'm a bit more sensitive to how much work I'm going to put into someone who I think is just shopping around.
Well, I think marketing is like old-fashioned romance dating for marriage. And someone calling me and asking me for help like that is like asking me to come over and help them. When I was in high school chasing pretty girls, if a girl called me up and needed help, I'd run over and do about anything, right? Mow the lawn, take out the trash, whatever. I think that there are certain real estate agents that almost market themselves as desperate. And so you'd be careful not to come across that way. I guess that's the equivalent of a woman dressing in a way that's too provocative, right? If they think you're going to either get it for free, they don't have to marry you, well, then that's the way life goes. And along the same lines, I would say that, I mark myself as an expert. I mark myself as a professional. Are the people occasionally take advantage of me? Yeah, but by the same token, those vendors appreciate the opportunity. They appreciate the bids. They appreciate the chance to work on the business. So, I would say if you focus on helping people for the purpose of helping people without getting something in response, the business becomes a lot of fun. when you focus on what I get out of those people, it gets to be very difficult and very miserable. And so I don't disagree that there are people who are takers, will take advantage of you. And then, I've had that. People call me and ask me questions, and then they're ready to sell their house. I had this one guy for like a $2 million house in Venice. He said, well, my wife liked this other agent. Well, your wife never met me. But when you had questions about preparing to sell the house that would have saved you thousands of dollars, I was the expert you turned to for that. So to me, that's just taking. But I don't have to go to heaven to account for that. He does. My job is to do my job, and my job is to help people. And I will say that because I help people without expectation, I get back help from other people without expectation. So I would focus on that. Maybe just check your attitude a little bit, see where you come from on it. And I think also make the vendor relationship a value in itself, meaning if somebody said to me, well, I need 3 or 4 different vendors. I need like you said, tree or roof or whatever you said. Those 3 or 4 vendors who are glad to hear from me, they're out looking for business too. So make sure you also work that relationship and position yourself as their resource to help them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Sure. One question I answered incorrectly, and Christopher put back in the text. I want to go back to the question. He asked about what happens when the administrator doesn't want to do the work. And the answer is, and he said, is there somebody who can be the probate administrator? That's called a fiduciary, and anybody can be a fiduciary. The court has to appoint them. And so if everybody's in agreement, literally it could be anybody, but it's more likely to be an attorney or more likely to be a fiduciary who's licensed as a fiduciary, as a professional fiduciary, but it doesn't have to be. And I would say that if the family member or whoever the heirs are agree to appoint somebody to be act in that role as a fiduciary, and you can convince the judge you're capable of doing the job, in most cases, I believe the judge will go ahead with it. And if you can't convince the judge that you know what you're doing, you're not going to go ahead with it. Well, how do you do that? You show up, your paperwork's done right, you know the procedures, you address the court in a lawyerly way, and they're going to help you, I think, move forward. Elizabeth, I see an X. I don't know what that means by your name. And the hand's not raised up. I see an X next to you. I don't know if that means I'm supposed to call you or not call you. So forgive me if I'm not supposed to talk to you, but I don't know what the red X means. No. Oh,
Sorry,
I see.
no, I was trying to raise my hand and accidentally I clicked the X.
Oh, okay.
The mouse was faster than my fingers, so sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. Michelle, your hand's back up. We're going to wrap up here in about 2 minutes, but go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, sorry.
Michelle, your hand's up? No? That was before? Okay. So,
yes, Bill, that was before. So I thought
good.
it should
Okay,
have
good.
Yeah.
So here's what I'll say to you. If you'd like to get my copy of my vendors list, that I can send you a link to of all the different types of people I've used. So I've gone through this and I've added to it from time to time. For example, a firearms dealer. I have a case where we had a hoarder in a sense. I don't want to say he was really a hoarder, but kind of like a hoarder. And among the things we found in the house were guns and ammunition, a lot of guns. And I have a lot of guns. This was a lot of guns and ammunition. And then one of the guns has a serial number crossed off, which is technically illegal, and you have to turn it over to the police or sheriff. So firearms dealer is another one. So I have a list of those vendors on my list that I would urge you to put together. If you're interested, email to me, bill@thelaprobateexpert.com, bill@thelaprobateexpert.com, and put in the subject line vendor list. And I'll just copy and paste and send it back to you guys. If you do that here within the next 10 minutes or so, I'll make sure I get that done. Okay? If you do it tomorrow, I'll probably forget what you're asking for, and I might ask you what you're looking for. Don't forgive me. I'm pretty busy these days. Michelle, one last question? No? Okay. So
no,
look,
sorry, Bill.
Okay. I'm just anxious to call on you, Michelle. Like having you there. Thank you for participation. Look, thanks to everybody for your participation today. Appreciate it. We do this every, I want to add one last thing. I don't know if you guys, I get asked a lot about coaching programs. I don't run one, but I've been working with Chad Corbett on Probate Mastery, and I've been doing some substitute teaching and some coaching and helping him with this program. And so I'm actually an affiliate now with him. So if you're interested in that program, it's $500. It's a very intense program, but he's put on video format with some handouts and money back guarantee. If you're not happy with it, I put the link in the chat box. It is an affiliate link. I do get some revenue on that. I'm looking to create some marketing money to market that product. I'm not looking to make money off of it because I get asked so often about coaching, and I want to make a great coaching product. that I can refer to. So if you're interested in probate mastery, click on that link. If you have questions about it, most of it's there. To me, I would stand by it, as well as say you have a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not happy with it, you get a full refund. So check that out if you're interested. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week. We do this every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's also streamed live on YouTube, Facebook, and you can check them out on my social media, Bill Gross EXP. I'm on youtube.com/BillGrossEXP and other social media. Have a fantastic week, everybody. Thank you so much.